Yeah. Okay, now I'd like to call on Uncle Julius's daughter, Lorraine, to tell us a little bit about Uncle Julius. I don't know, for those of you maybe you didn't know Uncle Julius, everybody's heard of him, but this was a figure who was larger than life. I mean, let me just give you one, as she's walking up, I'll tell you, first of all, he donated, when he died, he donated $4 million to Israel. Right? $1 million to Panovich Yeshiva, $1 million to, I think, Hebrew University, $1 million to the Institute of the Blind, and $1 million to, what was that, I forgot another.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of the guy, very varied person. And one little teeny other thing that I remember, that when he went to work, this is the way he made money. He knew that World War I was in the offing when he was in America, and working in the luggage business. Luggage was not interesting. He bought all the nails he could get a hold of because he knew that in a war, nails were going to be needed. Yeah. He got cornered the nail market and made a lot of money when the war came up and they needed the nails. A man of nails, what can I tell you?
I'm going to start by reading his autobiography, something he typed. I don't really know when he did it, but he did this himself, and I think it gives kind of a picture of him. I was born in a small town in Poland on June 26, 1892, one of 14 children. At the age of 9, I left school and went to work in a printing shop for 25 cents a month. I worked there for 4 years until I was 13 years old. Then my oldest brother, Nate, in San Francisco, sent me half a ticket at the cost of $40, which covered steerage accommodations on the boat and fourth class on the train. The trip took a month and a half. I departed from Poland with 10 cents, and I arrived in San Francisco January 3rd, 1906, very hungry and without a single penny. I went to work in a luggage factory for 5 years until 1911, and in that year I went into my own business at the age of 19 on Fillmore Street. About 1922, I started investing in south of Market lots and erected industrial buildings, leasing and selling them. I have met some wonderful people who were always willing to help me, as I should never have accomplished it alone. I have always said that this is the only country in the world where you can accomplish whatever you want to make of yourself. Let's see, I think by now you've gotten the picture that there is a good deal of interrelationships in the band family. I used to drive my mother crazy when I would say, well, my grandmother was actually my great-grandmother too, or my father is my mother's half-uncle. That's the way it was. My father came here in 1906. In 1922, he went back to Poland to visit his mother. And on the way back from Poland to the United States, he stopped off in Vienna to visit his half-sister, Pearl. Pearl's daughter, Dora, was in the house, and my father fell in love with her. It was a whirlwind courtship and marriage and a honeymoon in Venice, where I was probably conceived. Because I came into the world pretty quickly after that. My mother had a very hard time adjusting to this country. She was known as the greenhorn by some of my father's relatives. And it was really a difficult period for her, as I was colicky, and then my brother came along and he had whooping cough, and all of these things created a lot of difficulty for her. And she had a breakdown, and so my father sent us to Europe in 1932, my mother, my brother, myself. And at that time, my mother's sister, Henny, had come to this country and was living with us. So we spent 10 months in Europe, and my mother recovered at that time. And when we came back, my father had made a trade in business and had got a house in San Mateo, so that we moved into a house which we had nothing to do with purchasing or anything. We just moved into a strange neighborhood, strange city, and it was really a very hard thing, I think, for my mother to adjust to, and that was a bad time for her. I have to mention at this time, my brother Herb died quite young at 27, and he was really, this was really a more than a tragedy for my family. They never really recovered from his death. For me, my memory of Herb is that he taught me jazz. He was a real jazz fiend, and I loved him for that. My father did help a number of families to come to this country during the 30s to escape the Nazis. The only problem with his helping many of these people was that he liked to have control. When he gave money, he wanted control over it. And that made it difficult for a lot of people, who were on the receiving end. So that he made, I wouldn't say he made enemies, but he certainly didn't make friends. And he alienated some of the family. He and my Uncle Joe did not speak for 25 years. I don't know how close he was to Willie. I don't think he saw him that much either. He was really alienated from the family. So when I went to New York to go to graduate school, it was with the understanding, okay, I'll pay for it, but you are not to come home for 2 years. When you're finished with that, you come home, and that's it. Well, it didn't quite work out that way. I met Vic and stayed on in New York. When we came back to San Francisco, first on our honeymoon, and then Vic and I both decided it was much easier to live in California than it would be in New York City at that time, and we decided to settle in San Francisco. And Mimi and Oscar welcomed us. And then Charlie and Evelyn welcomed us, although I found out later that the invitation read, come and meet your communist cousins. My dad was a Republican Jew at a time when very few Jews were Republican. He hated Roosevelt. And did not want me to go to University of California because there were all these communists there. And I don't know if you remember the Hearst papers in the 30s, but they were pretty much red-baiting papers. In any event, so he sent me to Stanford, where the social science faculty was quite liberal, and I learned a lot. I guess you'd say I loved my father dearly. He was a very strong man and with very definite opinions. I really did grow up with the feeling, or as an adult, I had the feeling that he really respected strong women. He would make fun of strong women, but you knew underneath that he really respected them, and that gave me a good deal of strength in my life. So I owe a great deal to him, and that's it.